Nothing's making me feel more patriotic than watching these European World Cup teams struggle to adapt to the American heat.
It's summertime. The World Cup is finally here, and there is a ton of drama surrounding all of this between Europeans and Americans alike. I've been making videos over the last few days of Americans traveling to Europe and complaining about the heat over there, and Europeans are calling it the Great American Humbling, and Americans are complaining that it's hot and there's no AC, and they're like, all of Europe doesn't have AC, and we just went over a video yesterday about the fact that that is not true. There is definitely AC throughout Europe. It depends on where you're located, but also it doesn't make sense in a lot of places because throughout the year you get maybe 10 to 12 days of sweltering heat and the rest of the year is pretty decently cold, you know what I mean? So it's interesting because it seems that the roles have reversed, at least online, because we have a wave of Europeans traveling to the United States in lieu of the World Cup. A lot of the teams that are going to be in the World Cup are already in the United States and they're actually doing their practices, and there are a slew of photos that have gone viral of European players absolutely laid out in the grass because of the heat. The heat has been taking people out left and right, and Americans online are going ballistic. They are making fun, they're mocking all the Europeans out there. They're like, we tried to tell you the heat in America is different. It gets hot and humid over here. You guys weren't prepared, and the internet went up in a frenzy. Europeans and Americans are going crazy in comment sections all over the place, and we are here to cover this whole drama. There's a few videos we're gonna be watching that break everything down, and I want to hear you guys' opinion. Does the heat in the United States vary from the heat throughout Europe? You guys let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same. Humidity exists everywhere, but Americans think that it is exclusive to the United States and that the heat in the United States is entirely different than the heat throughout all of Europe. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Have you guys been paying attention to the World Cup? Have you guys been seeing how people have been performing and whatnot? The comments were pretty insane, and the videos surrounding these whole topics were pretty interesting too. So we're gonna go ahead and dive nose deep into this thing.
Nothing's making me feel more patriotic than watching these European World Cup teams struggle to adapt to the American heat. Every time I see one of these photos, I hear that Toby Keith song in the background. My daddy served in the army. The Norwegian squad is in Greensboro, North Carolina. The fact that Erling Haaland is in Greensboro, North Carolina that's a sentence I thought I'd never read. But they just bake in the sun to try to adapt. They've never seen heat like this. The English national team is broken by the Florida heat. That's right. That's right. You would not survive a Saturday afternoon in August in the swamp. You would not survive. The European mind would not survive. Meanwhile, every South American team is like, this is nothing.
Obviously, this had some interesting comments, and our first comment says, do you think they want ice water and AC yet? I'm not gonna lie, it did look like they were out there struggling in the sweltering heat. I'm telling you, those images are going crazy all over the internet, and Americans everywhere are going crazy. They're like, this is our golden opportunity. We've been dunked on for so long. It is our turn. So, of course, we had very contentious comment sections with Europeans firing back and Americans also firing back to the Europeans in the comment section. So we're gonna go ahead and go through those comments as well. Oh, we sent England to Florida? That's poetry. I'm not sure how crazy the summers get over there in England, but I have been seeing a lot of videos pop up on my TikTok feed of Americans traveling to England and suffering in the heat over there.
I am never doubting a Brit again when they tell me that the UK sun hits different. I feel like I'm in a sauna. This is what it feels like to be a shirt getting ironed.
Mainly because they're saying, well, there's no AC inside and it's so hot and I don't understand how you guys can deal with this. And now we seem to be having the other issue, except we don't have anybody apparently from England complaining about the heat that I have seen at least. At least from my POV, it seems like they're handling it a lot better than Americans traveling to England in this particular case. Heat didn't get to Germany much, and we see this score over here of Germany whooping the United States 2-1. I can't even really say it's whooping, but they definitely beat the United States. That looks pretty insane. I didn't even realize they had games yet. As we can see, summer is kicking off with a little bit of a bang. And if I'm being so real, this isn't even the very beginning of how hot it can get in the United States. The thing with me is I don't particularly care for humidity anywhere. I don't care if I'm in the United States. I don't care if I'm in a country in Europe and it is very humid. I hate the humidity. I absolutely despise it. Now I'm in South Korea. Let me tell you something. The summers out here are wicked. It's because of the humidity. It gets insanely humid out here. It's hot, humid, and you're always drenched in sweat. 3 losses to European teams, by the way. And as you can see here, we have a score chart and America getting absolutely clapped in these competitions. Well, at least we beat West Africa, yay, 3-2. Yes, the heat it's pretty intense, but not intense enough to spare us Americans from an ass whooping on the field, because apparently we got our shit punched in, okay? Bad. In your heat, by the way. Love my country. Okay, I must be missing something. Have the games already started?
So I'm actually looking at this now and I'm realizing that this says March 28th. So this happened way earlier this year.
The creator responded with this. Does that say March? And this obviously opened up a huge can of worms because there were comments replying to this, which let's just go over those. Say as you conveniently miss every other relevant comment. Now you might be wondering what this comment is referring to. Apparently the creator was only replying to the comments that fit his narrative, his bill. American teams have been getting packed up in June, but he only replied to the one comment that was showing America losing against Belgium, I guess, back in March. Why reply to this, not the other comments showing your team losing in June? That's suspicious. I'm telling you, this comment section's juicy. I'm confused. Wasn't the World Cup in Qatar a few years back? Isn't that way hotter? Yeah, exactly. Acting like the American heat is entirely mind-blowingly intense as compared to anywhere else in the world is just straight up delusional. Even what I brought up, Arizona being incredibly hot. Listen, I have traveled to Qatar, right? One of my layover flights was in Qatar when I had to fly from South Korea to Germany. And oh my God, listen, now I'm going to say this in Fahrenheit. I know there's going to be a lot of people rolling their eyes, but I'm going to say this in Fahrenheit, okay? It was 119 degrees Fahrenheit in the wee hours of the night. It was midnight in Qatar, 119 degrees. That's insane. I felt like I was stepping through the threshold of hell. Florida is actually having a historic cold front right now. That's what one of my friends was telling me. I still have some buddies that are over in Florida currently, and they're like, actually, it's pretty cool for Florida around this time. And it's funny because I told you guys, I used to live in Florida. In fact, a lot of my old videos that are on this channel were me in Florida. And yeah, I guess for what the weather is currently, it's not that hot. But again, it's all a matter of perspective. Us Americans think anything is hot if there's no AC in sight, and if it even creeps up a little bit over 16 degrees Celsius. Why are you making stuff up? The last World Cup was literally a desert, and these same posts were going about. It's hot and people are doing extensive cardio. Do you expect not to sweat or be tired? And that right there was comment gold, because literally people are practicing. They are sweating their butts off. It is crazy hot outside as well. But the main thing is they're doing extensive conditioning sessions out there. They're practicing, and practice requires a lot of energy and you will get gassed. So most likely, on top of it being hot, they're mainly out there laid out because they are practicing their asses off, right? They're practicing their asses off right now, and they are laid out because they're trying to recover. They're exhausted. I'd be exhausted too. You would be exhausted as well. You're out there just running it about. Doesn't matter if it's hot, cold, rainy, snowing, doesn't matter. If you are practicing and working out at all, you're going to be gassed eventually. So laying out there, it could have definitely been because of their practice and their extensive bouts of cardio. So that also makes a ton of sense. But again, I think how us Americans read that was, yeah, you guys can't handle the American summers, buddy. We tried warning you. The American summers are too much for you to handle. This is your karma. And what the reality was is you have whole ass football teams, right? I guess for my American soccer teams, traveling to the United States, practicing and actually playing games. And you get tired when you play like that. It's pretty intense. And so you will lay out. I've seen people lay out in the field on like very fair weathered days because they worked their butts off. That's just what happens. That's what happens. And I don't know. People are obviously in a frenzy, and I'm telling you, people are going toe to toe in those comments, man. Listen, I did not know modern warfare would be taking place in the comment section of videos like this. Scotland is one of the coldest and rainiest countries competing. The heat didn't seem to bother them. If you look here, it says Scotland versus Bolivia, and this was actually Saturday, June 6th. So this past weekend, and oh my gosh, look at this. 4-0. Bolivia got their cheeks clapped. That's insane. Wow. Absolutely mind-blowing. I can't believe it. So, of course, as we can see, Europeans are firing back in the comments like with, hey, dude, we're still whooping y'all, man. We're whooping you guys. We're whooping other teams in your climate, So, yes, it's hot, but not hot enough to take us out. Because, and it must be too hot for the American players because we've won a few, right? Maybe a couple games, maybe one game, but not enough for us to be talking the shit that we're talking right now because good googly moogly, y'all are still losing either way. That's actually crazy. You're right. And the funny thing is, historically, America has not been known for doing the best at all when it comes to the World Cup thing. Okay, we have not been known for being the best performer. So to me, it's actually comical that we're talking as much shit as we're talking. We haven't even adapted yet, and America is still losing. It's a sacred art, man. We are professional shit talkers. We will talk shit until the cows come home, and then we will get beat at whatever sport that we are talking shit about, or we'll lose ultimately whatever argument that we're in. Not all the time, but a good chunk of the time. And we love living in our own delusion. So again, in this instance, two things have been proven. There has been a hotter World Cup for sure. Qatar is literally hell. And then we have had people that are in the United States currently, plethoras of teams, beat the United States in the United States during the heat wave, during this heat. And there's not really a heat wave per se in the United States. It's just hot. It's summertime. So it is getting hot, but the heat wave isn't really kicked into full gear yet. Dude, this has nothing to do about adapting to American heat, but the fact that most players never play in June or July. It's not like it's winter now in Europe, LOL. Another very good point. It's also probably hot as well throughout Europe. And it clearly is hot throughout Europe because, like I said, we literally have been covering videos of Americans flying to Europe currently and complaining about the heat and the lack of AC and the blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, like, you know, Americans on the internet firing off that, oh, see, Europeans can't handle American heat. It's too much for them. Maybe everybody's just antsy because it's hot outside.
Oh my God, girl, I got some World Cup tea for you. So they just had it on the news that some of these European teams literally can't take the heat in the United States. Norway had to pause their practice because they're down in North Carolina, and it's a regular average North Carolina day, 88 degrees, high humidity, right, for June. Well, some of the players were like, fuck this shit, and they paused the practice because they couldn't handle it. Look up the clips. The Vikings looking like a bunch of drowned rats on the field, basically naked, because they're like, what is this? Then you have England's team down in South Florida. I don't know if they paused any practices. I don't think so. But they had the coach on, and he came out and said that the heat is so much worse than they were expecting. They purposely brought them there to train to try to acclimate to the climate, but it's so horrendous there that... bitch, they're struggling too. You got Germany currently in Chicago, where it's not crazy bad because they're playing a friendly game, but eventually they're going to North Carolina as well, so they're about to get hit with it too. And I know that those Germans cannot handle the heat because I'm married to one. He's acclimated now because he's been living here for over 20 years, but when his family visits, straight up, they get like heat stroke in 5 minutes. And all the teams, all the players, all the coaches, all the doctors were warned about weather in the United States, in Mexico, and how it's going to be like something they are absolutely not used to, so they got to watch. Anyways, would you like some ice cubes in the drink now? Or no? How about the air conditioning? You want to put it on full blast a little bit, hun? Maybe you understand a little more? Heat is not just a temperature on a thermometer. When you add it with humidity, there's a reason why Gatorade was invented in Florida.
Yikes. Yikes. But like we just saw in the previous comment section, it's just the fact that the players are playing in the summertime in general. The players are trying to adapt playing in the heat in general during this time. It is rough. It's rough for, I'm pretty sure, all of the teams, even the United States teams currently, clearly, since we're getting packed in, you're playing in hot summer sweltering months and people are getting pretty exhausted. But of course, this is the time to acclimate and get better and whatnot. And of course, the comment section in this video was probably even more contentious than the previous video. Would you like some ice cubes in the drink now? We have to remember that humidity is not exclusive to the United States. It exists all over the world. And that actually was one of the big things that I saw an American creator complain about in England. In England, they were complaining about how hot and humid it was over there. They said it wasn't just the fact that it was was hot, it was humid, and they couldn't find their beloved AC. And they said that also they opened up windows and it didn't help very much at all either. But it's not like that all year round, not even like that for a long period of time. In fact, I just recently asked in my community post on my YouTube channel how hot it is in the UK in general right now, as of right now. And you guys are saying it's raining and it's actually cool right now. So I don't know where the complaints are coming from, but hey, man, listen, you throw an American in this situation, we will find a way to make a complaint. Europe, as if there ain't countries who pull out a nice 100 degrees plus. That's what I'm saying. There are definitely countries in Europe that get over 100 degrees. Even the countries that you've mentioned, some of them get pretty hot. Now, it's not for a crazy long time, but they get real hot and humid. So what are we talking about? I guess there is this big misunderstanding, and it happens literally every year, back and forth. It's like, oh, the Europeans don't understand how hot it gets in the United States. They would gator roll all over the place if they found out it got as hot as it does in the United States. Now, again, I feel like this is just a simple discrepancy between people who like the summertime and people who can't get with it. I'm not a huge fan of the summertime. I know that's a controversial statement, but I don't really like the summer like that. I prefer spring, I love fall, and I love winter for some reason. I hate taking a shower and then going outside and being instantly drenched in sweat within minutes of me having stepped outside. I'm like, wow, I just took a shower and now I'm already dirty and I haven't done anything. I just walked outside for a schmidgem of time. That's crazy. Yes, Norway, which is one of the most northern countries of Europe. Wonder why they paused the training. Now with Norway, that does make sense. They were probably like, oh my gosh. I don't know how hot the summers get in Norway, but clearly not hot enough if they were going through that. Also, again, it could have just been the practice that was crazy intense paired with the heat. The heat had something to do with that for sure, because they looked like they were going through it. I'm not gonna lie. For my people that are from Norway, do you think it would be pretty rough this time of year traveling to like North America in the sweltering heat and practicing outside? I'm pretty sure it would be like that for anybody, because I mean, even us Americans are not prepared for our own summers a lot of the time. And here I thought British heat waves were unlike anything people in the US experience. See, the crazy thing is I just saw a video of an American lady that was in the UK complaining about how hot it was after having been to Florida, Louisiana, and a bunch of other southern states where it gets really hot, sweltering, humid, and then like saying, oh yeah, like, well, this is a different type of heat. Because I guess how she explained it is, of course, we have access to different things to make it a little bit easier on us in situations like that in the United States. Not to say there's no AC or anything in Europe, but I guess in her particular circumstance in her house, she didn't really have AC. And again, she tried opening up her windows and things like that, and it just was not working for her. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess maybe that makes sense a little bit. But it was like, she also mentioned that it didn't even seem like there was a breeze. Like, it's just like it got hot and humid and the air just sat still. There wasn't like any airflow, even with the windows open. I'm pretty sure there's places like that in the United States too. There are some times where the air just sits and it just feels real muggy and hot and unbearable. Seems like it's same to me, but I could be wrong. And if you guys have had those experiences, let me know what they were in the comments down below. Are you running in a field or sitting in AC? Bingo. This right here is the number one point that I think makes the most sense. One group of people, the group of Americans mocking Europeans online for experiencing the sweltering heat that are sitting in the nice comfort of their AC. And then you have the Europeans that are out there on the field playing the game in the heat. Now, both groups are impacted by the heat in different ways, but one group arguably is not being impacted as much as the other group. If you're sitting down while the AC blows on your face, you're not going to be complaining about the heat too much because you're cooled down. But if you're outside in the sweltering heat playing football in the heat, yes, you're going to be laid out in the grass after practice. I mean, I played football when I was little, and not American football. I mean, I did play American football too, but I'm talking about soccer, I guess, for my Americans watching this. And I played in the summertime a little bit for practice. I was practicing in the summer and it was rough. It was terrible. I hated it. And I was laid out in the grass like that. And I was a little kid. I was a tiny little kid. I was in a summer camp for soccer and it was terrible, man. I hated my life. But the heat was wicked, paired with the practice, by the way. You forget that they're training and not just sitting. I'm telling you, that probably went right over her head. Because again, yes, the heat is bad, right? It is pretty bad. It's pretty nasty, but you have to take into account they are also heating their bodies up by running out there in the heat and practicing in the first place. So that's also going to bother people. That's also going to exhaust people. That is something that a lot of people are not taking into account from the United States. They're like, hey, look, like, you know, look at them. They're laying out on the grass. They're suffering. I'm like, bro, but they're getting active outside. If you were getting active outside too, instead of getting behind your keyboard and firing off, you would be in the same situation. But they swear UK is hotter than Florida, LMAO. I don't know who's saying that. I don't think I've ever came across anybody saying no crazy shit like that. I don't think the UK, I'm not sure what the weather in the UK is like, so I can't really speak on that. But I don't think the UK gets as hot as Florida. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. But the heat and humidity in Florida in comparison to the UK, and the UK is pretty huge, I'm not gonna lie. So maybe, I don't know. I'm not well informed enough to make a statement on that. And this is the weather in Norway. So this is why. Yeah, my apartment always sits at 16 degrees Celsius. I like it like that because it's nice and cold and you can constantly see me in hoodies and long sleeves. But yeah, anything above 18 degrees Celsius for this American, and it is too hot for me. Okay, too hot. I can't handle it. Now, I'll still go out and about and enjoy the weather to a degree, but I'll be sweating like a pig in a pod. They just had the World Cup in Qatar. Like, I understand the humidity makes it tough, but this can't be that much worse. Huge news for the unemployed. Yeah, this really is not a big deal because Qatar was leagues worse. And I got to experience it myself. I was actually out there and it felt rough. And that was just for the short 2 to 3 minute commute I had to make from the aircraft to the airport. So if I got to experience that, mind you, in the middle of the night, then imagine what it would be like playing an actual whole event out there, right? So if we're talking about heat, there's levels to this, right? S tier heat is gotta be Qatar. How do you guys feel on either side of the fence? Do you guys believe that there was some validity in these complaints? Do you guys feel like there was no validity in these complaints? Do you feel like the Americans were going too crazy? Do you think we're just dumb? By the way, I've asked this question before, but who are you rooting for in the World Cup anyways?